Welcome once again to our Wednesday Bible stories and thoughts. Today I would like to talk about the compass. Now the compass is a simple instrument that has a magnetic needle that can rotate freely on one plane, and its job is to point to the north and the south when it's in a horizontal position, that is. And it's used for navigation and orientation. You really don't want to go for a hike in the woods or in the mountains without one. Let me read you a quote from Dr. Charles Stanley. He said, "Whether we hop on a plane or stay home, we're all on a spiritual journey." The question is, do you know where you're headed? Or even whether you're on the right path? We could all use a little help figuring out which way to go. Through my travels, I've relied on a compass to guide me. If I'm ever uncertain about my course, I just pull it out and check the direction. In the same way, God understands we need a spiritual compass. That's why He's given us His Word. End quote. Now, we don't know precisely when the compass was invented, but we believe that it was invented in China somewhere between the 2nd century BC and the 1st century AD. Around about that period, the Chinese people found that lodestones suspended so that they could turn freely would always point in the same direction. Lodestones suspended that way were first used in geomancy as a method of finding gems. And the first man-made compasses were so-called south-pointing spoons. These were compasses where a lodestone needle was made in the form of a spoon, so that it could turn on a smooth surface, where the handle would always be pointed south. What is interesting is that right from the beginning of humanity, we've all looked for some way of finding our way. We look for some guide. We look for directions to navigate effectively, to arrive at our goal. And we've used all kinds of methods. Perhaps we were analyzing the flight path of birds, or observing wind, sea debris, or moss on trees. And there's so many other ways, means, and methods of determining direction. Some methods of navigation measured the angles between celestial objects. Other peoples have used a type of sun compass, an unartog disc, for example, out of Greenland. They use that to locate true north. On cloudy days, the Vikings may have used corduroy or iolite. Others had profound knowledge of astronomy, which was sufficient to allow them to use the stars to determine their proper heading. For the world, the invention of the compass made it possible to determine a heading when the sky was overcast or foggy and when landmarks weren't in sight. This enabled mariners to navigate safely far from land, increasing sea trade and contributing to the 1500s to the exhibitions that led to the discovery of the new promised land of the Americas. But for Noah, Abram, Moses, Job, King David, Paul, for all of them, God was their compass. Genesis 13:14. After Lot had gone, the Lord said to Abram, "Look as far as you can see in every direction, north, south, east, and west." Job says to his friend Eliphaz in Job 23:3, verses 8 to 10, If only I knew where to find God. I would go east, but He's not there. I would go west, but I cannot find Him. I do not see Him in the north, for He is hidden. I look to the south, but He is concealed. But he knows where I am going, and when he tests me, I will come out pure as gold. The son of David, who was a wise man at one point in his life, lost direction. And he said the following, not to himself, but to following generations, in Ecclesiastes 10:15. Fools are so exhausted by a little work that they can't even find their way home. In Acts 28:13 it says, "From there we sailed across to Rhegium. A day later a south wind began blowing, so the following day we sailed up the coast to Puteoli." In a movie I watched a father give his little boy a compass with the promise made between them that wherever his son goes he would always carry his compass. 25 years later it happened one day that the son found himself lost in the world. He put his hand in his pocket and he found his father's compass. And he smiled and he knew the direction to take. Exactly the same way for any Christian. God's word is a compass. In John 1:1 it says, "In the beginning the Word already existed. The Word was with God and the Word was God." He existed in the beginning with God. The Word gave life to everything that was created. The Bible is like a compass giving direction to our lives. If we don't want to drown or get lost, we need to hold on to God's compass. Yes? Friends, be blessed until we see each other again.